Do you guys watch interrogation tapes? I'm sure those of you guys who are into true crimes would love a good interrogation tape, especially the ones which are so obvious that the suspect did the crime, but they still try to cover up and make stories until they get caught with their own words. Do you guys know you can find interrogation tapes in YouTube too? Oh, yes. I have watched so many interrogation tapes, but I never, ever came across a tape so weird, with so much twists and turns, and so wrong. This tape completely changed my perception of the word suspect. Before we go into the tape, I will start with the background story and what led to this tape. In 2006, Dan Walker lived in a small town called Desert Hills in Arizona. His 18 years old son Ryan Walker and his then girlfriend Heather Quan both lived in a rented apartment in the same town. Day is 25th December 2006. It's Christmas Day. Don was excited. His son and son's girlfriend were supposed to visit him for Christmas dinner. Dan had made dinner for the couple and waited for them to show up. Christmas dinner came and went, but there is no sign of Ryan or Heather. They never showed up. Dan got upset and tried contacting both of them, but he couldn't. He felt something was just not right. It's not likely of them. Although they lived in the same town, he didn't think of driving himself to his son's apartment. Instead, he called the police and asked them to do a welfare check on his son and his girlfriend. 25th December, almost midnight. The police arrived at Ryan's place, and at first it seemed like no one was in the house. They tried to knock at the door and kept calling Ryan and Heather's names. After a couple of minutes later, they saw some movement inside the house, and then they heard the front door unlocked from inside. There was Ryan standing right in front of the door. The house is mostly dark, but they can still see Ryan just staring at them. Even in the dark, they can see that he even had a huge bruise on his left eye and a cut on his nose. Ryan sees the police cars, but just stares at them with the confusion on his face. At this point of time, the police officers try to explain to Ryan that he has nothing to worry. They're just here on a routine check, just a welfare check. And again, Ryan just stands there and looks at them dead in the eye and says nothing. They didn't even ask any question. This went on for a while. While this was going on, officers looked past through Ryan inside the apartment and saw there was a woman lying on the couch. They presumed it was Heather from Dan's description. Again, they tried to talk with Ryan. They asked him what had happened to his face. At first, Ryan didn't even answer any of their questions. He looked confused, and then he slowly started talking. But he didn't sound normal. The only thing that came out from him was, "I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know." He kept repeating, "I don't know." Although it looked strange, the police officers thought Ryan was more or less okay. Maybe he was drunk. They had asked Ryan who was the woman laying down on the couch. Is that Heather Quan? Again, Ryan sounded very strange and said something along the line, "I don't know. She is sleeping." At this point of time, they can clearly see Ryan has a huge black eye and a bloody nose, and the guy just started sounding more stranger and weirder. They tried to explain to Ryan again, they are here just to make sure that both of them were okay. Since Ryan seems okay, they also need to talk to Heather and make sure she's okay as well. Ryan didn't immediately agree or get defensive either. Most of his words didn't make much sense. One thing he kept saying was, "She is sleeping." Eventually, police made him comply and went to check on the girl. Soon as they walked into the house and saw the girl on the couch. Yes, it was Heather. No, she was not sleeping. They can see right away she was dead. And she had been dead for a while, at least a couple of days. She had a single gunshot wound to the head. Police saw a guy with a black eye and a dead girl. No one else in the apartment. Isn't that more obvious than this? Immediately, Ryan was arrested and thrown in the back of the police car and made him sit there for several hours inside the police car. At this point, Ryan looked even more confused. One thing he kept saying was, I don't know. I don't know what happened to Heather. And sometimes he said, she is sleeping. Christmas Day has passed, and more officers and detectives came to assess the crime scene. While all this is happening, Ryan is still sitting at the back of the police car. Finally, December 26th early morning at about 5 a.m., police brought Ryan to the Phoenix police station for further questioning. At the police station, Ryan was brought to the interrogation room and questioned for an hour. The entire hour he was there, he was recorded. That is the tape we are going to talk about today. At this point onwards, I will show you key parts from the actual footage. You guys can find the full interrogation tape in the link below. From the start, you guys can clearly see there is something really wrong with Ryan, even if you guys do not know the full story yet. How all of these officers and detectives, with their training and experience right away, made a conclusion, but missed the most obvious thing, which is right in front of their eyes, is really beyond my imagination. As soon as they brought him in, even with this potato quality video, the first thing you guys can clearly see is his big bloody black eye and wounds in his nose. And then you can see the way he's sitting down is also not normal. He's very quiet and didn't even move for a while. And then he noticed the handcuff which is connected to the table. What does he do? He voluntarily puts the handcuffs on. Officers didn't even ask him to do so. Somehow, the detectives missed this as well. And then he puts his head down and tries to sleep for a while, I guess. And then he suddenly makes a loud sound and starts to walk away from the table. He then realizes he had these handcuffs tied to the table. Handcuffs, which he himself had put it on 5 minutes ago. He again looked so confused. He then just sits there and stares at a blank piece of paper until the detectives come into the room. Now, the interrogation begins. First, one detective tries to explain to Ryan that they need to take some pictures of his feet. At this point of time, Ryan looks even more confused. Somehow they manage to explain, and one officer tries to take a picture and swap from his feet. While this is going on, Ryan keeps asking the other officer if he can go back home.
Alright, do I get to go home?
It seemed like he didn't even know the seriousness of the situation he is in. When the officer says no, he can't leave, he acts like a frustrated child. You guys can clearly see he is not right. Something is really wrong. After all this swabbing is done at about 5:30 a.m. in the morning, Officer Dalton introduces himself and starts asking a very simple question. Very basic questions like whether he understands why is he even here. For that, Ryan says he doesn't know why he isn't there. You can clearly see Ryan is frustrated and keeps repeating, no, I don't know. For most of the questions, even for very harmless, basic, simple questions, he says no, or he either says, I don't know. I think at this point of time, Officer Dalton starts to pick up that something is not right. Ryan is obviously lying to question, which is so inconsequential. But why?
Did you graduate?
Yeah.
Do you have a GED?
I don't know.
You don't know what?
I don't know. I just want to go home.
Oh, you're not going to go home. Right
Maybe he was just acting. Or trying to play insanity defense? So far all the questions and answers seem to be going nowhere. Then Officer Dalton started to push the questions a bit further. He started to ask about Heather, his girlfriend.
now? No? You know a girl named Heather?
Mm-hmm.
You know Heather's last name?
Mm-hmm.
What is Heather's last name?
The one that lives there right now?
First, Ryan says he don't have a girlfriend. And then Dalton asks, okay, then do you know a girl named Heather? For that, Ryan says yes. But then again, to describe about Heather, his description completely different from the girl they found at the apartment. He isn't even sure about Heather's last name. Strange. Why would Ryan lie about all these questions? It doesn't make any sense at all.
I don't know.
What does she look like?
I really don't know.
You don't know?
I really don't.
What color hair does she have?
Brown?
Is it long?
20 maybe? I don't know.
Finally, Dalton asks Ryan what happened to his face. Which should be the first obvious question he should have even asked.
Remember what happened to your nose? There's a big chunk out of your nose.
I don't know.
At first, Ryan says he doesn't know. And then he says,
And Heather did this to you.
What?
Your eye.
Uh-uh.
Okay, who did that to you?
Alicia.
Alicia did that to you now.
At this point, you can clearly see police already concluded that Heather was killed by Ryan. So all they are trying to do is to get evidence of confession from Ryan. When Ryan says the bruise on his face is caused by a girl name, they thought it was from Heather fighting back before he killed her. Sounds reasonable. And then Dalton fixates on this, which obviously fits his theory, and tries to ask more and more questions on this to get more evidence to support his theory. But answers from Ryan didn't fit what police was hoping for. He started to say random pieces of information which didn't make any sense at that time. Ryan was talking about some other people in house and some shooting incident. At this point of time, Officer Dalton just had enough and asked Ryan straight away, "There is a dead girl in the house. I need more from you."
Hey, Ryan,
Huh?
there's a dead girl in your living room.
She's dead?
Yes.
Heather?
I don't know. I want to know what happened in your house last night.
The girl on the couch is dead?
I don't know if she's on the couch. She's dead.
At this, you can see Ryan looked like he is genuinely surprised. It really seems like he is learning about this for the first time. And then he started to tell a story. What really happened to Heather? It's weird because it seemed like he just learned Heather has been killed, but he already has a story to tell.
Well, these people came over. Richie and his dad.
He was talking about some guy named Richie and his dad.
With shoot and arrow, bow and darts. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They hit me and her with those. That's it. And the Heather wasn't there. And Eric wasn't there. It was just me and Heather.
Bows and arrows, revolvers. This is all confusing at this point. And at some point, he said Richie and his dad shoot both of us. They shot me in the eye. Obviously, now the story has been changed so many times that Officer Dalton clearly thinks Ryan is lying. Hey, at this point of time, any officer would think the same thing. So he gets frustrated and tells Ryan, if they shot you in the eye with a revolver, you wouldn't be talking with me right now.
You're saying bows and arrows, you're saying revolvers, and you're saying some other thing, and you're saying they shot you in the eye. Okay? They shot you with a revolver in your eye.
Yes. And that's
Is it
it.
a BB gun?
No, it was a real gun, man. It was just a
If they
revolver.
shot you in the eye with a revolver, you wouldn't be talking to me right now.
How do you know?
It was most likely you be dead.
After this, it's clear to Officer Dalton that Ryan is lying or he is trying to play insanity defense. Or is it? Sometimes truth can be stranger than fiction. After this interview went on for a while, mostly Ryan saying things which doesn't make any sense to Officer Dalton. And then finally at about 6 o'clock, almost 45 minutes after the interrogation started, Officer Dalton noticed something on Ryan's face.
Let me see your nose. Put your legs down. Put your legs down. Bring your face closer.
Oh, my head hurts.
Be right back.
What Delton saw, there were 4 bullet holes in Ryan's face. Ryan didn't commit any crime. He was a victim, just like Heather. He just somehow survived the bullets. All his behavior, the way he acted, is caused by those bullets in his head, slowly damaging his brain. Later, they found out that the attack actually happened on the 23rd of December, 2 days before Christmas. 2 men, Richie Carver and his father Larry Carver, broke into the couple's apartment and shot both Ryan and his girlfriend Heather. This is supposed to be a revenge plot. You see, Richie Carver was living with Ryan and Heather for a while. Then there was an altercation between Richie and the couple about a month earlier, and Richie was asked to leave the couple's apartment. To take revenge for this incident, Richie went to the couple's house with his father. First, he shot Ryan in his face point blank. The first bullet went through his nose, which is the 2 holes you see on his nose, and continued to travel through his left eye into his brain, where he got stuck. And the force of this bullet broke his skull into pieces, and these pieces went into his brain. The second bullet barely hits his skull, but managed to break off a piece of his skull, which was the 4th bullet hole. Ryan falls to the ground unconscious. They thought he was dead. Then they walked in and shot Heather to her head. She fell to the ground. It was believed she died instantly from the gunshot. Intruders then took some valuables from the house and left the crime scene thinking both Ryan and Heather were dead. But a couple of hours after all this happened, Ryan woke up. He was not dead, but he got severe damage to his brain. Part of his brain is gone. He is confused and not sure what's going on. He lost track of time. He sees his girlfriend lying on the couch and thought she was sleeping. He then goes to his bed and sleeps like nothing had happened. Wakes up the next day, it's 24th December. Again, lost of reality and time. Once again, he thought his girlfriend was sleeping. All day he was just wandering around his apartment while his girlfriend lay dead on the couch. This went on for 1 more day, which was Christmas Day, 25th of December, until the police visited the house for the welfare check. Police came in after 2 days of the shooting. They saw the dead girl in the apartment and her boyfriend just wandering around. This is where they jumped to a conclusion that he might have killed his girlfriend straight away. Even with Ryan bleeding from his face, they didn't even seek a medical checkup before proceeding with the interrogation. They put him in a police car and kept him for more than 6 hours and another hour in the interrogation room. All this while, and his head was bleeding and causing irreversible brain damage. That's what caused Ryan to act the way he did. After knowing the full stories, if you guys go and watch the interrogation video, every second is so obvious that something is really wrong with the guy. After almost 2 days at home and 7 hours with the police station with intense interrogation, he finally got the care he needed. But the damage is already done. They saved his life, but they had to remove a large portion of his brain and an eye, which the bullet went through. After this, Ryan couldn't even take care of himself, and his parents became his full-time caretakers. 10 years later, Ryan Walker died from the complications directly linked with his brain injury. Alright guys, that's all for today. If you guys like this video and want to see more similar videos like this, subscribe to our channel and check on all notifications so you will not miss any of our latest videos. If you guys come across any videos or channels worth sharing, share it with us and we'll share it to the world. Be sure to check out our contact details in the video description below. See you guys in our next video.